Thank you for being with us here, Dr. Cross.
It's my pleasure, and I'm really happy to be here.
Michael, why don't we go ahead and spotlight his video? Perfect. Andrew, I'm so excited to have you. I know you're really busy. You've just went through a merger with I guess you could say, with VizRT. So you've got some time. I want to dig right into it. In simple terms, can you tell us what is NDI?
I think that the best answer I can give is think about HDMI cables. HDMI cables connect your camera to your monitor. And then think, this is like a proprietary cable. The world has gone to IP, the world has gone to video. We should not be having all these kind of proprietary weird special cables. So NDI is what happens when you try to make moving video around as easy as just putting things on a local network and hooking them up. So I think that's the simplest answer I can give to your question, but I think it's a very important question.
Thank you for simplifying it, because I know a lot of us are brand new to video communications and thinking about video production and live streaming, and just high level, NDI is almost like an HDMI cable, but it's over the network, which opens up a lot of new possibilities. So let's talk about the video industry as a whole. How are you seeing NDI being used? And I guess maybe in broad terms, and then we can talk more specific.
Okay, so first of all, I think that, there is this traditional video industry. There's this, there's broadcasters, there's TV producers, there's video editors. And I think that particularly because of Corona, what's happened is, we've all realized that video is probably the single most powerful form of communication that exists. I mean, there's a reason why humans evolved eyes to better look at things and to communicate with people one-on-one. And I think that, in that way, video has become and is this incredibly powerful way of communicating. So as Corona's happened, what every company's realized is that rather than people being able to meet each other, we need to start using technology to be able to communicate. And so, when I look today and, to answer your question, how is NDI being used? What's happened is everybody has realized that video is just so essential. It's how you can train your employees. It's how you can do meetings. It's how you can set up conferences. It's how we can do a show like this one and not be in, even within 1,000 miles of each other. And so, what's happened here is that NDI and IP technology has really taken away this need that I can connect, as I said, an HDMI cable from my camera to my monitor locally, and allowed you to do that at a global scale. And when you do this and start to have technology that can move video around, can produce great looking shows, make it affordable, make it easy, enable it so that every corporation in the world, so that every, small streamer can produce a great looking show, suddenly this becomes something magical that is so much bigger than, say, the traditional broadcast industry, because now we can really all use video to communicate. And that means that you can communicate with your own company who are no longer all in the building. There's probably not a company in North America who prepared for this day when suddenly from one day to the next, all their employees are at home. We can no longer go out and meet people. So to sell equipment, you need to do it over the internet. To train people, you need to do it. And NDI has really enabled all of these things and made it possible for tens of millions of people. And it's really been very exciting to have been part of that and for our technology to be used, quite frankly. I mean, it makes me very happy to see what people are doing with it today.
Well, and I wanted to bring it down to a very basic level of using NDI with a Zoom call. Now, a lot of people may not realize we're using NDI right now in many ways. And maybe at the end of this conversation, Andrew, I'd like to use the NDI app on my phone and show people some of the ways that we're using NDI with Zoom. But let me ask you, how can you use NDI with just a simple Zoom call?
So I think that there's several ways to use it, and I think that there's not one. So think NDI as HDMI cable. How do you use an HDMI cable? I mean, you use it to connect things. So obviously, when it comes to a Zoom call, you can use this in several ways. And I think that there's two, there's probably hundreds of ways, but there's two exciting ways that I can think of. The first is that you can take something like your cell phone, as you have there, and you can make it be the camera that is used for Zoom. So, if we all typically think, if you're wanting to produce really great looking video, using a webcam is probably not the best way to do it. And everybody has a phone, which these days is as high quality camera as almost any professional camera. Being able to take that, just put it into a Zoom call is obviously very powerful. But, once again, you can start to use, if you're in a conference room, you can start to use real PTZ cameras that give you far better looking imagery that allow you to produce a great looking show. So bringing video in to Zoom is one of the things that NDI enables. And because NDI is easy and it's IP based, you just need to get that video signal onto your local Ethernet. Then wherever it is in your building, wherever it is, whether it's connected just to your Wi-Fi or something else, they just see each other. You don't need to be thinking about, how do I get this signal to here? You just need to work out, how do I get this signal onto my Ethernet? So that's one way. Now, the second way, which I think is equally important, is actually what we're doing here. This is a show that is almost indistinguishable from TV. And so obviously what we're all doing is we're using real sophisticated tools that can make a great looking show. And then we can push that great looking show to communicate out with the rest of a meeting, if you will, whether that's the company, whether that is your customers. And so we're using NDI to push video into the stream that is then distributed out via Zoom to all of the callers who are also part of this meeting, which is how I'm calling in.
And we're actually giving away some of these NDI HX apps. Many people have won them. I wanted to ask you, can you describe a little bit more about how it works? I understand, I have it here, so maybe we could do I could do a live demo while you explain it. I took everyone on a little tour of our studio with this, and they were saying my camera was a little too wobbly. So I'm going to try to hold it a little smoother. But why don't we just do that? Why don't I show some of the NDI cameras and products that we're using to produce this television quality show, as you said. And maybe you can just tell us about how this is all working, because obviously there's no cables here, right? What kind of magic is behind this that I can get such great quality video directly to our streaming system?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we just have a little app that runs on your iPhone. And the really cool thing about this is it takes what your iPhone is seeing, and then it transmits it wirelessly over to your network. So your phone is just on your Wi-Fi network. And then because you're running Zoom and it's also on that network, it can just see the output of your phone, and you can use that as an input into your Zoom call. So, to kind of understand how revolutionary this is in many ways, if you kind of do a web search for kind of wireless 4K camera, you're going to find these things are really quite expensive. And now just with an iPhone, you get all of that functionality. It's wireless, which means that as you can just kind of walk around with it. You don't need to think how it's connected. It's what you've already got in your pocket, so it's easy to set up and use. And you just get it onto your Wi-Fi network, and now it's an input to Zoom. And that is, quite revolutionary on its own. Now we have this other really great app, which is called the NDI Capture app. And what it does is it takes the content of your screen, so your iPhone screen, and will transmit that wirelessly over as an NDI source. So then you could be looking at spreadsheets, you could be looking at maps, you could be looking at web pages, and you can bring those into your show. And obviously, given that we all spend far too much more time on mobile these days, and we all are used to looking and finding information on mobile, this makes it just really great, even within a Zoom call, to just be able to pull it up and say, look at a web page, or look at a product or a photo or a video that you have on your phone, and just send it straight into your Zoom call. So I think as you're seeing, once you start to have all these pieces and you connect them all together, and it's just about getting video onto your local Ethernet, and then your Zoom client can get and see all of these things, you start to be able to connect all of these pieces together to make for really interesting things that are just not what most people are used to using. And it's quite revolutionary. And the moment you start doing it, all of these new ideas come up on how you can connect different things, how you can move video around, how you can bring other pieces into your shows or into your calls. And that's really the fun part of all of this.
Another simple way I'd love to see if we could show folks is that NDI Capture. Now, you mentioned it for the phone. I'm not prepared to do that right now, but I'm actually using my laptop to send an NDI video feed to the production. And we have lots of folks, I know that a lot of worship communities do that with their pastors. but it's about sending video over the network. And Michael, I don't know if you can get creative with showing the way that I have this set up. But one of the ways that we do this, Andrew, which I really enjoy, and I want to get to this flip side. So there's one is sending video into Zoom, but another way is actually taking video from Zoom and incorporating it into your broadcast. So this is something we do a lot, Andrew, and a lot of our customers really enjoy this. This is the professional development room that's happening right now. It's the breakout rooms, but we're capturing this video using NDI and now incorporating it, as you say, into our live production. This is something that's pretty amazing, and you actually are giving all of these tools away for free.
That's correct. So we really want to enable people. We know that the more video gets used, the better for everybody. And so by making these tools, making them available free, putting the SDK out there so that everybody else can develop tools, our desire is to make video easy and fun for everybody, and that's been our mission. Quite frankly, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's why I joined this company. It's why I stay here. It's why I love what I'm doing. And this ability to take this stuff, make video fun, easy for everybody, start to see people connect all of these pieces in ways that you never expected, and do kind of amazing new things and make shows. And look, a show like this, how was this possible a year ago? Nobody thought of doing this, and yet here we are today putting on a show that looks every bit as good as TV. And the fact that people can do that, the fact that this is now possible with these tools we have is just awe-inspiring and so much fun and so amazing. And I think that when companies start to think, well, gosh, this show is not just something that us as specialists can do, it's something you all can do, and you can use it to talk to your customers. You can use it to have your own employees so that you can engage with them when they're working at home. You can use it to communicate with other people around the world. You can use it to train your salespeople. I mean, it's just incredible. And when we see people doing this, it's just so inspiring. And that's one of the best parts of my job, quite frankly.
I can tell that you're excited about what you're working on. I've spoken to 12-year-old children who are using NDI with their video gaming. And I've spoken to 70-year-old women who are using NDI to capture slides for their church. So if that doesn't show you the gamut of the amount of people that are using this, now that we talked about these smartphone apps, that must be a really big leap forward. At one point you were giving these away for free, I believe. There were lots of people getting them. We're giving them away today on our show for some of the winners. That must really open things up because everyone has a smartphone. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's kind of transformed from a consumer side, almost the way Zoom, which was really a professional tool, has now transitioned to almost a consumer-facing app in a way. Are you seeing that happen with NDI?
Well, I think that the answer to that is clearly yes. And I think that today, about 5 years ago, I lost count. When we started NDI, we kind of kept count of who we were working with, roughly what their customer size was. And somewhere here in the last 5 years, I just totally lost count how many potential people there are using it in the world. But if I look at just announcements this year, it's in calling apps that represent hundreds of millions of customers. It's in desktop apps that represent hundreds of millions of customers. So it's out there at a scale that I think that we frankly never anticipated, and that's exciting. But I think you brought up something very, very important and something that's very close to my heart, and I think our strategy, which is our goal is to make IP video on computers as easy as possible and as accessible as possible. And I put in a key word there, which was on computers, because IP is in some ways the natural language of computers. Every computer in the world is connected together by IP connections. But then it's often tempting to make this assumption about what a computer is. And in the modern world, a computer, if you were an alien visiting Earth and you kind of looked around, looked what people are doing, and then you say to them, okay, what's a computer? They would point to a cell phone. Because there are more cell phones in the world. Well, actually, there's about one cell phone in the world for every person on the planet over 14 years old now. That is the computer of the future in many ways. And so making IP video accessible on these platforms is as important as anything else we're doing. Because if our goal is to make video accessible and fun for everybody, if you ignore that, you're basically ignoring everything. And that's why these apps are just the beginning and an important part of what we're doing.
Well, it's great. It's so inspiring to hear that these apps are just the beginning, because I've been lucky enough to follow along, from the beginning of NDI, years and years ago. Every year it gets better. And now, you're saying it's just the beginning. And I think that's true. I think that there's a tipping point, and that, COVID, not to bring it back to COVID, but it's been an accelerant. And so things are accelerating in very many, in certain scenarios. I know you got to go. We actually have a busy schedule, but there was one, I think, important question that was asked by Cvent, and they asked us, where can they get all of this free NDI stuff? Can you tell us a little bit about these tools that you guys offer and where people can get them?
Okay, so the easy answer to that is just go to ndi.tv. So just go into a browser, type in ndi.tv, and that is a great starting point. And you will find all of the tools that we created and links to the tools and products that we have there. Now, quite frankly, almost every content creation tool in the world at this point has some form of NDI support. So, if you just search for NDI and almost any area of interest to you in a web browser, you're going to find something that helps you do it or somebody already doing it. But a great starting point is ndi.tv. And we would encourage everybody to, quite frankly, just get it, play with it, have fun, because you do that, suddenly the light bulb starts going off and you realize all these amazing things you can be doing with your use of video, and that's what makes this fun.
So that is all I have for you today, Andrew. I really have to say the two new apps I'm really happy with. The NDI camera app, but then again, I just want to reiterate this for those who are watching. One is for actually capturing content from your phone. And that, I guess I'll just ask you that I see for obviously mobile gaming, but are there more applications that you're seeing emerge out there? This is capturing what is on your smartphone and then sending it to a new location.
Well, obviously that's huge in mobile gaming, and quite frankly, there's more people doing mobile game streaming than there are desktop game streaming in the world today. But let me answer your question, because how often, how else is this useful? Think about this. How many times have you needed to say you wanted to show somebody some content you had on your phone, like a picture or a website or part of an article or something on a map or something inside a web browser or a video? And the ability to take what's on your cell phone and put it onto your network as a video stream is useful in every one of those times. So every one of those times where you needed to share something you had on your phone with somebody else, it solves that problem for you. And that can be within a Zoom call. So I could, if I had it, pull up my phone and send you, some video of something that I need to share with you. And that's something we're all needing to do multiple times a day, every day. And so I think that this is actually a very important thing, that is friction in our everyday lives and lots of things we can do. And this allows it to be shared over Zoom, which is remarkable.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Andrew. It's been incredible. I'm going to show off our new NDI webcam and talk a little bit about your Spark Plus unit that somebody actually won today. So thank you so much for joining, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much.